Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Impact Wrestling Review for the 25th of August, 2020. Um, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but in terms of quality of programming in storyline development, Impact, the best program of the week outside of SummerSlam. So, second best program overall as we head into Wednesday. That's amazing to me because there is a time I'd given up on this brand completely. Someday I want to go back and watch the TNA / Impact brand from the beginning. I don't have time now. But anyway, um, just an amazing show for a company that has no reason to be as good as it is. So we open with a video package running down both the women and the other championship match with Eddie Edwards. Eddie Edwards is your Impact heavyweight champion running a I will fight anybody every week type of character, which I like this, but I like it for a different reason than most people would. Number one, Eddie Edwards is a guy I got to call many of his matches for a couple of years on the indies before he was known. It's awesome to see a buddy make it to that level. But they're doing what any small company should do. The championships matter more than who holds them. As in, if we're defending the championship every week, whoever does it is by proxy over because they're the one doing it. But at the same time, if Eddie Edwards were to go down hurt and or decide to leave the company for greener pastures, which contractually he's not at that level, you've got the championship mattering, so whoever holds it after him now automatically has to rise to that standard, but also they've won something that matters. I've always been, in my entire time as a fan, all the way back to a child, who holds the championship matters more than any single star. And it's that way in sports. The World Series champions are the ones to beat next year. The Super Bowl champions are the ones to beat next year. In UFC, who holds the championship, they're the one to beat. Wrestling should be the same in that regard. Stories or not, if you can't build stories around your champions, then they shouldn't be your champions. Anyway, Rob Van Dam is your challenger this week. He's out with Katie Forbes. Forbes' character I don't get, haven't gotten, but it is what it is. Start with basic wrestling, wrist control for Eddie. Eddie hits an atomic drop and a belly to back suplex to send RVD to the floor. He recovers. Eddie tries to follow to the floor. Van Dam hits him and slams him into the dashboards and other things. Van Dam gets distracted by the girl who wants to make out mid-match. I think that's a funny spot. Eddie tries for a dive, and this time he wins. Eddie gets the better of Rob. Katie distracts him, allowing Rob to run Eddie face first into the ring post. Switch of things from there. Use of the guardrail from the apron. Finally, we go back into the ring. Eddie and Rob trade strikes. Katie interferes and is distracting the referee. Split leg moonsault by Van Dam for near fall here. Eddie hits a blue thunder bomb, but wasn't able to follow up the pin. Beautiful body scissors by Van Dam, and Eddie hits a tiger driver. RVD kicks out at 2. Eddie goes for top rope Frankensteiner. Van Dam blocks. Eddie hits a big jumping kick. Or RVD then hits the Rolling Thunder and goes for a 5-star frog splash, but the champion moves out of the way, hits the Boston Knee Party, and picks up a win to retain the title. So Van Dam at 45, 50, whatever he is able to go. He can still go. And so to me, that means there's no excuse for men and women who are in larger promotions who can't go. If you can't go, you need to go. Meaning you either need to step up and learn to go at that level, or you need to get in and do some cardio, or you need to find another line of work. If a guy who is, I'm going to say, nearing 50 can wrestle at that level on national TV, you have no excuse why you shouldn't either. Anyway, so Eric Young rushes out. He attacks Eddie Edwards. We come back from commercial. Josh Matthews and Madison Rain. Might as well be Josh Madison, the way she owns him on commentary. Anyway, but so they talk about the remainder of the card. They also talk about the fact that Eric Young and Eddie Edwards will do battle next week. We go to the Wrestle House thing. Team building exercise this time is a toga party. We see Johnny Swinger in a leopard print Flintstones-inspired toga. He's starting to Fuji people, meaning that he throws powder and salt into their eyes. This is considered not nice. Talia's somewhat inebriated already, and she bullies Kylie Ray. Bravo is apparently sad in his room. Larry D and Rosemary about to go on a date. Swinger accidentally Fuji's Crazy Steve. Tommy Dreamer declares a blindfold match with the loser having to dress the winner next week. Crazy Steve defeats Johnny Swinger in a blindfold match. They do an air horn spot, which is just goofy. Swinger then asks for help from his roomies. They don't give it to him. I don't like these Wrestle House segments, but one thing they do is they do get over personalities for each person that's part of the Wrestle House concept, which I think is more than WWE does most of the time. Backstage, Eddie Edwards is looking for Eric Young, but he's nowhere to be found. We see a commercial for Bound for Glory in October. Rhino cuts a promo on Reno Scum, challenging them to a tag match next week. Rhino begs the fans to tweet about Heath used to be Slater, and regardless, he's going to get a gore next week on members of Reno Scum. Eddie's headed to the ring. He calls out Eric Young. Eric Young says that Eddie is pathetic and tells him he's mentally 5 steps ahead. He's playing chess while Eddie's playing checkers. Things are going to go down the way he orchestrated them, and says the title match will be next week. And then they brawl around all the way. Scott D'Amore gets knocked down in the middle. Wonder if there'll be repercussions for that. GM Miller interviews Rohit Raju about the title win. Says that he manipulated Chris Bay and now he's the X Division champion. Says he's a victim of not being allowed to live up to his potential and political games. But he says he'd give opportunities to everyone, unlike the ones that weren't given to him. We see an episode of Locker Room Talk. Madison Rain and the Radicals are there as special guest hosts. They're having miscommunications between them, and Madison Rain will not let them light up a joint. Madman Fulton and Ace Austin are Madison Rain's guests. She brings up the Good Brothers. They try to, get on with this. Radicals laugh at Fulton and Austin. And then Fulton and Austin want to fight, but cooler heads prevail, and it is what it is. Anyway, Radicals invite Madison Rain to their lair. She declines. Sami Callihan promo in a computer room. He blames RVD for not beating Eddie Edwards and being a multi-time Impact champion. He says tonight he won't fight RVD, but he's going to be there next week to kick his tail. EC3 promo is recapping his first title win over Kurt Angle and how excited he was. Real emotion here. He says everything after that went downhill, and as long as he had the championship, he was excited. He wants to be able to move on, but he needs to destroy the title. He doesn't quite understand how to do that. He's confused, we're confused, but this is obviously leading somewhere, and I've always enjoyed EC3, so I'm willing to go along for the ride. Brian Myers against Willie Mack, really showing what a good hand Myers is. I don't get Mack. To me, he's there just to fill a body space. I don't see him as anything other than average. However, Myers brings a good match out of him. They start with some decent counters. Mack catches Myers with a shoulder tackle and an arm drag. Myers goes to regroup. Myers catches Mack with a surprise knee to the midsection, cuts him off, chokes him against the rope. Mack comes back with a run and a dropkick combo. Athletic, but nothing special. Myers starts to come back again. Mack ended up trading strikes going into the ropes, and Myers snaps his throat against the ropes for a near fall. Myers works over his throat, and Mack surprises Myers with a sunset flip pin attempt, but Myers kicks out and brings him down with a big elbow. Went back to the crossface. Myers decides to go for a running attack, only to get surprised by a sky-high modified powerbomb by Mack for near fall. Mack hits clothesline and spinning back elbow, scoop slam, a leg drop for a near fall. Mack hits the Samoan drop and a moonsault combo for another near fall. Myers hits things from the top rope. Mack stops him. They trade some strikes, and Mack hits a diving elbow. And then Myers goes for DDT. Mack dodges it, hits a spinning kick. Myers stalls and starts talking trash to Mack, responding with a strike and a bookend. Myers reverses the roll-up, grabs the tights, and gets a cheat-over win. Heath calls for fans to make Heath for Impact #trend on Twitter, so he gets a chance to team with Rhino next week. We go back to Wrestle House. They talk about family matters where Steve Urkel turns into Stefan Urkel. That's what the Larry D transformation's all about. Alicia Edwards stops by. She says that what Rosemary is doing to Talia is wrong, making Bravo jealous. She's hurting everybody, etc. and so forth. But Bravo jumps in, slaps Larry D, and then Dreamer calls for a match outside of Wrestle House. Bravo tries to elbow D early, but it doesn't do any damage. One headbutt by D and a punch, and he knocks him out. After the match, Bravo comes clean and tells Talia that he has feelings for Rosemary. Talia blames Rosemary for this, and that's the reason they're all trapped in Wrestle House. So next week we have Sami Callihan, Rob Van Dam, Ace Austin, and Madman Fulton versus the Rascals, and Eddie Edwards versus Eric Young. Decent, and they've hyped it to the point where I care about all those matches, even though I may not care about all the talent in them. Knockout champion Deanna Perazzo defeats Jordana Grace 2 falls to 1 in the 30-minute Iron Man match, which actually ran about 20 minutes, maybe a little under. I guess apparently they didn't time this out right, or it never was intended to be 30 minutes or whatever. Anyway, they basically are stalemate for the beginning of the match, and Jordana Grace breaks it up and takes control of the wrist of Perazzo. Grace breaks out an arm drag. Perazzo's selling the arm. Perazzo grabs a headlock, tight control, gets out with a headstand, and Grace connects with a shoulder tackle, couple arm drags, blocks a kick by Perazzo, and locks on a single leg Boston Crab. Perazzo makes the ropes. Go to commercial, we come back. Jordana's in control, whipping Perazzo from corner to corner. Perazzo escapes in place. bit of cat and mouse, tricking Jordana Grace into the big boot and cuts her off. Perazzo slams Grace's head into the apron before sending her back into the ring, going after the arm again. Then we see Perazzo still working the arm and sneaks in pin attempts. Jordana tries to strike herself to safety, but it doesn't work. Deanna hits a couple of short clotheslines for near fall. 10 minutes to go in the match, and we're still tied at 0. Perazzo stomps Grace's fingers. Perazzo keeps finding ways to snap every joint. Good arm manipulation and body part manipulation. Armbar and Kimura positions throughout. Jordana Grace finally punched Deanna off of her and starts using her good arm to attack, elbows and clotheslines and the like. She goes for a superplex, but Perazzo pushes her down only to take a big palm strike from Jordana and a second rope suplex. Grace couldn't follow this up, however. They trade strikes, and Grace gets the upper hand there, dropping Deanna with a couple of shoulder tackles, followed by a couple of sentons for a near fall. Grace gets Deanna with a back and lock sleeper, leg scissors, submission, fall. Grace up one fall to none with about 5 minutes left. Grace follows up with a body attack. Perazzo counters with a running knee and a reverse STO into the Koji clutch. Grace makes it to the ropes, and Perazzo stomps Grace in desperation, chops her. Grace makes chops, and then we kind of pull it in. Grace hits the Grace driver, but the referee is down, doesn't see it happen. Perazzo uses the distraction, hits Grace with the championship belt, stoles her first pin, ties up 1-1 with a minute to go. Perazzo hits a second, goes for a second pin, gets 2 count, and transitions into an armbar. Grace breaks it off. Perazzo kicks Grace in the arm, follows up with a big punt kick and a German suplex. But Jordana kicks out. Perazzo locks in the Fujiwara armbar, transitions into a Venus de Milo submission with about 5 seconds left and gets the submission. Perazzo and Grace have an amazing match worth going out of your way to see. Impact worth going out of your way to see this week. The best wrestling since SummerSlam, and probably the best episodic wrestling television program that isn't AEW of the year. AEW had a phenomenal run last Saturday, so maybe they're third. But it's such a great time to be a wrestling fan right now. Also, a great time to be a wrestler right now. But WWE is just lacking. They are truly lacking. And if you only watch WWE, you're doing yourself a disservice. But anyhow. That is your Impact review. Keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Till next time, everybody.